There are those who will tell you that FIFA is just a conspiracy, a scam, accountable to nobody, and too powerful for anyone to resist.
Scandal, arrests, corruption.
They corrupted the business of worldwide soccer to serve their interests and to enrich themselves.
We can expect a lot more arrests.
Barely a week passes without fresh allegations rocking FIFA, the group in charge of the most popular sport on earth.
My view of FIFA is a corrupted organisation and has been corrupted for some 40 years.
We've got to dismantle it, dissolve it and start again.
Now Sepp Blatter, football's king for nearly 2 decades, is finally being forced from power and maybe out of football altogether.
Frankly, what we've seen is the ugly side of the beautiful game, and he should go.
Is he football's greatest villain?
Are you concerned at some stage you might be arrested?
Arrested for what? Next question.
The evil genius who helped turn the beautiful game rotten.
I've been to FIFA headquarters, and it's very much how you would imagine the villain in a Bond movie to have his lair.
Was England's bid to host the World Cup a complete waste of time and money?
England had no chance. I could say from the beginning on, England had no chance.
Could England really walk away if changes aren't made?
Definitely, I think that if that doesn't happen, you know, what else can you do except look at trying to boycott?
And we reveal how Blatter still plans his greatest shock yet, to carry on at football's top table.
The position of an honorary president is according to what is accepted by him.
Here we go, Sepp.
What should we do with him?
November 2015. Across the country, it's traditional for Guy Fawkes to be burned on bonfire night.
What should we do with him?
But this year, in a small Kent town, there's a different effigy being burned. Sepp Blatter.
He's ruined football. He's absolutely killed football.
He's running an organisation that seems corrupt from top to bottom, so probably he deserves his night on the fire.
This 35-foot Blatter might be going up in flames, but is world football going the same way? 2 England legends who between them played in 6 World Cups are outraged.
I'm very angry about it all because obviously, you know, any governing body, you know, you expect to be clean, especially in sport, because, you know, you expect people involved in it to love the sport they're involved with.
FIFA were allowed to continue for many, many, many years doing this. It was unbelievable. It was a gravy train. You know, it will all start coming out and, you know, it's a domino effect, but it was allowed to go on so long without getting checked.
Investigations into those who run the global game have now reached a critical point.
These are unprecedented and difficult times for FIFA.
Football's governing body, FIFA, suspended its president while it investigated corruption claims which Blatter denies. A verdict is imminent. If found guilty, he faces a lengthy ban from all football, ending his career even before a new president's due to be elected in February. Around the world, there are allegations involving many of those controlling football. It may be just the beginning.
We can expect a lot more arrests, and we can expect, you know, a lot more revelations to come out in the future.
For years, FIFA has been satirized as an underworld shadowy organization. And Blatter, a Bond villain, a comparison he tackled head-on in this rarely seen footage from the Oxford University Union.
They would have you believe that I sit in my office with a sinister grin, gently stroking the chin of an expensive white Persian cat.
But is the fancy FIFA HQ in Zurich hiding the type of secrets that lie deep in the lair of an organization bent on world domination?
Blatter, the Bond villain, could have been Inspector, quite easy. Daniel Craig could have gone up against him. He has everything about it. He now looks and sounds the part, and of course.
I have said I forgive, but I don't forget when it comes to persons.
Malcolm Moore from the Financial Times was the most recent British journalist to be granted an interview with Blatter.
I think if you were looking for an image of a Bond villain today amongst the leaders of big businesses and sporting organisations around the world, you know, Sepp Blatter definitely plays up to that caricature.
We think Sepp Blatter's like Blofeld. Truth is, Blofeld's like Sepp Blatter.
But it is not what we are. That's not FIFA. That's not me. I have dedicated my life for the good of football around the world in the belief that football has the power to build a better future.
Controversy and speculation have swirled around his reign, despite his constant denials.
Are you concerned at some stage you might be arrested?
Arrested for what? Next question.
For 17 years, Blatter's maintained a vice-like grip on power. And he's done this because of one simple reason. FIFA owns and runs the single biggest event on the globe, the World Cup.
The World Cup is very special. The fans tend to, get into the atmosphere of a World Cup, and certainly, it's great for the world as a whole just to see the fans coming together and enjoying football.
World Cup is just, it's huge. It's the kind of the focus of hopes and dreams of billions of football fans all around the world, and the moment when the world comes together and is genuinely united by this shared passion.
Blatter's an immensely powerful figure in football and beyond that in the world. He can control the award of World Cups, so he can get monarchs, he can get prime ministers, he can get presidents bowing and scraping. They defer to him. He doesn't defer to them because he is in charge of the world's greatest sport.
In 2014, when Forbes magazine published its list of the most powerful people in the world, there was Pope Francis, Vladimir Putin, Barack Obama, and just one man from the world of sport, Sepp Blatter.
Blatter likes to think that he's very powerful, and he loves the attention. It's clear that he's a man that revels in the red carpet being laid out for him. He likes to think of himself as a president of a state rather than the president of a footballing organisation.
And the position comes with its perks.
There have always been jokes about how much he loves private jets. So everywhere he flies on a private jet, and people have made plenty of jokes at his expense that, that he even takes a private jet to go to the supermarket.
He might have a lavish lifestyle now, but Blatter has worked his way up from a small alpine village to the financial mecca of Zurich. He spent time in the Swiss army and worked as a sports reporter, and even reportedly as a wedding singer before landing his job at FIFA. Guido Tognoni is a senior FIFA insider and so understands the current crisis. He used to be the organization's director of communications and one of Blatter's right-hand men.
It is nice to work for FIFA. To be in FIFA is always a good job. It's attractive. It's also well paid. He liked to go to the world leaders, he liked to be received by the world leaders. He liked to make photos, to bring a ball or to bring a shirt, to go to the Pope and give him the shirt number 10. He wanted to feel important, and he also wanted to hear every day that he is important. This was for him very important, to be important.
Hosting the World Cup is a huge privilege. Millions are spent by nations bidding for the honor. But it's now been revealed that the bidding process was a joke.
The winner to organize the 2022 FIFA World Cup is Qatar.
The result of the host nation for the 2022 World Cup shocked the world and could come to define Sepp Blatter's presidency. Heidi Blake has investigated the secret goings-on within FIFA.
The news that Qatar had been named the host of the world's biggest sporting tournament was just greeted with universal shock and outrage around the world. People were just unable to comprehend how this had happened. It was a country where it was literally physically too hot to play football at the time of year that the World Cup is held.
When Blatter announced Qatar in the Middle East, a country that with no football tradition, but a lot of money from oil and gas, I think people thought, come on.
There was nothing to recommend it, everything to guard against it, and yet that decision had been made. And so it seemed to, I think, a lot of people, pretty obvious that something had gone very badly wrong.
The world questioned the decision, and FIFA and its president were in the spotlight like never before.
So I just want to congratulate the Qatar delegation, the Football Association.
And just a few weeks ago, over lunch, Blatter made an astonishing announcement on his master plan for the 2022 bid.
Over our lunch, it was clear that he'd come with something to say. And the bombshell he wanted to drop was basically that the votes for the 2018 and 22 World Cups had been rigged.
It was agreed inside the group that we go to Russia, because we have never been in Eastern Europe. And for 2022, we go back to America. And so we will have the World Cup with the two biggest political powers.
Let it go to the two superpowers, one to Russia and one to the US. And then what happened next was that basically the plan went wrong. Because Michel Platini, just before the vote, 1 week before the vote, Michel Platini, who's the head of football in Europe, called up Blatter and said, I can't vote your way anymore, allegedly because the French president, Nicolas Sarkozy, had asked him to vote for Qatar instead. And so he basically split away from this secret deal and voted with his block of floats for Qatar, and that swung it in Qatar's favour.
So before votes were cast, there was an agreed secret strategy, mapping out the ideal destination of World Cups. Blatter's revelation calls into question the whole bidding process, effectively making it a waste of time and money, including the £21 million England spent trying to host the 2018 event.
It does look like it's suggesting that it was all fixed anyway.
And now the FA want their money back. But the award of the 2022 World Cup to Qatar had even greater significance. The question is, will it lead to the crumbling of Sepp Blatter's empire? Summer 2015. The world of football is rocked to its core. The FBI and Swiss investigators suddenly pounce on FIFA and are now sifting through millions of documents as skeletons appear to fall out of FIFA's closet.
Let's see what happens with all the allegations, see what the FBI do, see who falls, see who talks. That's going to be a big scenario. The people who crack and start talking.
One man who's cracked is Chuck Blazer, a former FIFA executive who's now working with the FBI. The American became an informant for them after making a deal to avoid jail over tax evasion. Blazer has admitted conspiring to accept bribes over previous World Cup bids.
It's just tarnished football, you know, tarnished it badly because obviously, you know, there's been accusations, you know, over many, many years now. And it's only till recently, till the FBI have taken charge, that anything's happened.
Sepp Blatter's under suspension, along with the natural heir to his throne, legendary football figure Michel Platini. It's over an alleged dodgy payment to Platini. Both deny any wrongdoing. Now FIFA's own ethics committee has recommended sanctions against them both. Final verdicts may come soon. If found guilty, they could be banned from all football for years, ruining Platini's hopes of being president, ending Blatter's reign in shame. Blatter is under huge pressure. 3 weeks ago, he was hospitalized. Klaus Stolker is Blatter's closest confidant and has been working with him throughout his suspension.
It was a nervous breakdown, and at a private occasion. And it was not football which made this. And so he went into hospital. The doctors advised him to have a checkup. And I visited him soon after, but also many, many other very prominent people visited him, gave him the honors to see him. And there he was very fast back on his legs. He's fine now.
Blatter has won an unprecedented 5 back-to-back FIFA presidential elections. However, his 17-year reign as the head of world football has been shrouded in controversy. Blatter runs FIFA with the help of a group of people who are largely unknown by the public. But now those facing charges, accusations and suspensions are finally having the spotlight thrown on them. Chuck Blazer has already pleaded guilty. Another 9 have been indicted by US law enforcement, and 10 more senior football figures are being investigated by the Swiss authorities. FIFA is in crisis. But just who is the 79-year-old who's become the beautiful game's figure of hate?
He said, "Klaus, do you want to advise me?" I said, "Mr. President, that's a great honor." He's a wonderful man. I'm a PR man, and sometimes people don't believe PR men, but I'm talking as a friend of him.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Please come in.
This charm is because he loves people. For him, football is a people business. And this charm, when he looks to people, he really looks to the people. He's looking to your eyes. Has even more charm when it's a lady. And he says, one of his expressions is, rhythm is very important. So he could be a singer in New Orleans or something like that. And as everybody knows, in the morning he's a little bit moving like that, dancing, he calls it. So he loves life, he loves women, he loves people in general. He loves to be with his people in the whole FIFA.
He has a sense of humor, yes, he has a good sense of humor. He is an entertainer, you know. He likes to be in the center of the discussion. He likes to be in the center of entertainment. Therefore, still today, he would love to make the draws all himself. He does not like to sit in the first row and watch. He would like to be on the microphone and make the draw. That's what always his best role.
And the other one, this is something else.
Whether people like his Cristiano Ronaldo impression or not.
Like a commander on the field of play.
His supporters claim he's done some great things as FIFA president. His critics, though, would argue that football is now at its lowest point. Alan Tomlinson has written about FIFA and Blatter for 30 years.
He had a capacity to say things that sound outrageous, possibly controversial, and at times stupid.
I would say then that they should refrain from any sexual activities.
There's nothing that Mr. Blatter says that surprises me much, really.
Sepp Blatter has not only made a few gaffes over the years, he made a few gaffes over lunch. You know, English is definitely not his first language. And whilst he appears to be fluent, he does often stumble over the ideas that are going on in his head. So there was one moment when he said, you know, I like dancing in the morning. And I said, oh, so, you know, a little bit like they do in China, because, you know, the Chinese like to do Tai Chi in the morning. And he said, I've never been to bed with a Chinese girl, so I've no idea what they do in the morning.
Blatter's been a great supporter of all levels of expansion of FIFA, including women's football. But he didn't do a lot for his image when he said it'll be good for the women's game if women wear skimpier outfits. So he can say things which make him look like a comic book fool, or you know, the idiot in a comic opera.
So where did it all begin for Blatter?
I have never forgotten where are my roots and where I'm coming from.
Blatter, the multimillionaire, has humble beginnings. Visp is a small village in the shadow of the Swiss Alps. He was the oldest of 4 children, and his father worked long hours at the local chemical plant. But unlike most of the world, in Visp, Blatter's a popular figure. Even if he is kicked out of football, he'll always be a hero here.
Ein sehr sympathischer, ein Mann von uns.
Also diese Position, das ist ja wie ein Papst. Das hat selten eine kleine Gemeinde wie Visp.
Ich bin der Schwiegersohn von Herrn Sepp Blatter. Ich bin mit der Tochter von ihm verheiratet seit 15 Jahren. Das kommt sicher, ja. Wenn er zurückkommt, ist er wirklich der Sepp und nicht der Präsident. Ich kann wieder aufdanken und sicher erholen.
It was during his time at his local school, the now Sepp Blatter Primary, that he first gained his love of football.
I was football mad as a boy. I still am. Not a boy, but football mad.
When Blatter joined FIFA with the then president João Havelange, his dream was to turn it into a global cash cow, selling the TV and marketing rights around the world for billions of dollars.
I think that the real architect of FIFA in its current form was the previous president of Sepp Blatter, a man called Havelange. It was him that saw the commercial potential of football, and it was him that began to sell off the TV rights and the marketing deals and make all those great commercial strides which turned FIFA into this kind of huge global money spinner. And with money kind of so often, especially in a secretive organisation, comes corruption. And Havelange was no stranger to corruption by any means.
He always has a position of power, and it's nice to stay close to the power man, you know. This is always nice, and he is a charming person as long as he likes you, as long as he believes that you are of use for him, you know. Then he is very, very friendly, very charming, very generous.
In 1998, Blatter took his chance to rule the football world. He beat Lennart Johansson to become FIFA president, but even then, the result was surrounded by rumours of corruption and secretive deals. Alan Tomlinson was there that election night.
There were also some controversial stories about how some of those votes had been secured. I was in the Montparnasse Hotel in Paris, where a lot of the FIFA and a lot of the European delegates were as well. And after the vote, when the day Blatter became president, there were some very interesting encounters because a lot of the followers of the losing candidate were saying, we need to contest this. We have seen and heard deals being made, including proverbial brown envelopes changing hands for people to give Blatter his vote.
However, nothing was ever proven. Blatter has always strenuously denied everything.
I am not going to give any platform to those they doubt about the results and the correctness of my election in 1998.
But over the years, FIFA has continually been dogged by suspicion and rumour. And yet, despite the swirl of scandal, often leading to Blatter being satirised, he's managed to maintain power.
The real godfather of world football. And he knew he had that status, he had that power, he thought he was untouchable, he thought he could do what he liked, and people would look up to him.
The British media has been unable to comprehend how Sepp Blatter has got away with it for so long, because there have been so many scandals and so much embarrassment over the years that it's just really hard to kind of grasp how he's managed to ride the wave over and over and over again.
But how much longer can Sepp Blatter hold on to his crown?
There are those who will tell you that FIFA is just a conspiracy, a scam, accountable to nobody, and too powerful for anyone to resist.
Sepp Blatter has ruled world football since his election in 1998.
Mesdames, Messieurs, les délégués, merci de m'avoir élu à la présidence de la FIFA. Merci beaucoup.
He's been re-elected 4 times, including in May 2015. He then stepped down, blaming a lack of support, but later claimed he hadn't quit. A new election is in February.
His overall aim was to keep the power. And whatever helped him to stay in power and to keep the power was good for him.
But now FIFA is in crisis.
We do not know who is genuine, who is a fraud.
Leading figures are being investigated for corruption and bribery by the FBI and Swiss authorities.
They corrupted the business of worldwide soccer.
It's only till the FBI have taken charge that anything's happened.
And Blatter is currently suspended himself over claims of a dodgy payment.
People have lost confidence in FIFA worldwide.
There are those who will tell you of the supposed sordid secrets that lie deep in our Bond villain headquarters in the hills above Zurich.
This is FIFA's HQ, sitting on a hill above Zurich. It cost around £150 million to build and is now engulfed in an avalanche of allegations.
It's of course the best of the best. You know, you see that FIFA had not to spare money with the building. You know, I mean, it is really royal. It's like it's a FIFA palace.
Its exterior may look simple, but it hides some architectural secrets.
I've been to FIFA headquarters, which is on this hill outside Zurich, and it's very much how you would imagine the villain in a Bond movie to have his lair.
It's really quite a comical headquarters, FIFA's HQ, this sort of huge, great big glass and granite monstrosity, and most of it's underground.
Down at the bottom, well underground, is the nerve centre. That's the room where the executive committee meets. The floor is made of lapis lazuli. You know, there are these black leather chairs. There's a sort of crystal chandelier, which is supposed to be in the shape of a football stadium, but basically it looks like the war room in Dr. Strangelove.
1. Our hopes for recalling the 843rd bomb wing are quickly being reduced to a very low order of probability.
But while Blatter's impressive Zurich headquarters is the symbol of his power, the source of his control lies in the way that FIFA is structured, and that is at the heart of Blatter's master plan. Each of the 209 member countries has the same voting power in FIFA presidential elections.
And I know what is this strategy. Strategy is to bring all the congressists to convince the most to vote for him, and then at the end he will say, look at the democracy of the most numbers. They will say that I have to stay and I will stay.
It means when it comes to electing a president, amazingly, the Faroe Islands, with a population that wouldn't fill Wembley, has the same clout as England, Brazil, or Germany.
This one federation, one vote system is very dangerous for FIFA because it does not reflect the real power in football. You know, you cannot have in UEFA Gibraltar as the same voting power as England. It's ridiculous. It's really a joke.
Carefully around the world, Blatter has lapped up the adoration that has come with it.
He particularly likes to be recognised in his position in countries where he's claiming to make a big difference. And Blatter loves to be garlanded in flowers whilst he's holding a spade and helping turn over the first turf of a new pitch. And it's a bit like the rainmaker has arrived, the miracle worker has arrived.
But it's always been difficult to get a grip on FIFA's finances, and in particular, to know exactly who within the organisation is earning what.
I asked Blatter, you know, how much are you paid? It's a question he's had over and over again. He's always refused to say, and again, he refused to say it again. All he would say was, I'm not as rich as the top 3,000 richest people in Switzerland. They've got at least $25 million.
The cash flowing in and out of FIFA has often been criticised. You may have thought it would come under the same rules as any other multi-billion-pound business. Instead, the way FIFA is categorised under complex Swiss law helps it operate very differently.
Basically, FIFA is classed in the same way as you would a local rowing club or, you know, your local bowls club, even. That really means you don't have to publish your accounts. There are all sorts of lenient tax rules. It's a very beneficial system to the people who use it.
But such secrecy has only invited the prying eyes of the world's media, keen to unearth what's really going on within FIFA.
The British media and FIFA, I would say now, we may call it a very interesting relationship.
He hated the English media, of course. How can you like the media who are bothering you all the time and criticizing you all the time. So the relationship was not very good, not at all relaxed.
And yes, anyone like me who believes in the values of a free and vibrant medium looks to the British press, even if the outcome sometimes makes me question disbelief.
Heidi Blake is a journalist who's investigated FIFA over several years.
The Sunday Times started taking a big interest in FIFA in 2010, which was when the bidding process for the 2018 and 2022 World Cups was running. And obviously England was bidding to host the 2018 tournament, which was why we began to take an interest in it as a paper.
Journalists from the Sunday Times went undercover, posing as lobbyists for the US team bidding for the 2022 World Cup.
It can be paid in cash, otherwise it can be transferred. I didn't know whether it would have to go via the Nigerian Football Confederation, or it's better to go to you directly.
Directly. They found out that some of these people were basically prepared to accept bribes in exchange for their votes.
Certainly, if you have to invest on that, that means you also want to vote.
And as a result of that, 2 FIFA Executive Committee members were suspended. But as part of their investigation, they found that Qatar appeared to be offering large bribes to voters in exchange for their support for its own World Cup bid for the 2022 tournament.
Qatar!
But that wasn't the end of it.
A couple of years later, in the February of 2014, that we had the really huge breakthrough which kind of just blew the lid off the whole story.
Thanks to a whistleblower from within FIFA, the Sunday Times obtained secret documents.
That he really believed that he's untouchable.
Crisis? What is a crisis?
And still today, he cannot understand that the ethical committee is attacking him. His thinking is, well, how can they do that? I appointed them. They are my employees. They should serve me and not criticize me.
The scandals around FIFA appear to have cemented Blatter's role as football's most controversial figure. Cartoonists and comedians have declared open season.
Here we go, Sepp.
During a press conference in July, British comic Lee Nelson made a very public stand against President Blatter.
That was the moment that Sepp Blatter knew his kingdom was crumbling, because he's always been treated as a king, as a head of state. He's used to deference, people bowing and scraping in front of him, and all of a sudden, here was a comedian mocking him in front of the world.
Here we go, Sepp.
But is Sepp Blatter's kingdom now in ruins, or does he have a new plan to actually stay on the throne? A world away from the political scheming and alleged dodgy deals of FIFA are the Sunday League footballers who play for the love of the game.
Football means everything to me. From a young age, it meant everything to me.
It's just a feeling that you get, you know, with your friends playing football, the excitement of scoring a goal.
Like thousands across the country, it's clear exactly what they think of Blatter and the way he's run FIFA.
I know he's a bit of a dodgy geezer.
Sepp Blatter's got to go, surely.
You're not welcome in football.
But it's not just the amateurs who are unhappy. Sol Campbell has played at 3 World Cups, and Peter Shilton has played for England more than any other player.
Changes have to be made. There's no doubt about that. You know, I think they've lost a lot of credibility.
Well, I think with Sepp Blatter, it's almost he's in denial. He's almost thinking that all this has nothing to do with me. I've not been in control. I do not know what my people beside me or below me are doing.
I cannot say that they are all angels or they are all devils. I can only respond with my conscience, and I can say I am not in this category.
In 2010, England were one of 4 bids competing to host the 2018 World Cup. Prime Minister David Cameron hosted Sepp Blatter at Downing Street, while the likes of David Beckham and Prince William were ambassadors for the bid. The country had high hopes of hosting their first World Cup since 1966.
I think we have the stadium, we have the fans, we have the passion, we have the expertise, we have the government and the commitment. I think we have the team, yes.
2018 FIFA World Cup, ladies and gentlemen, will be organized in Russia.
Despite the efforts of the great and the good, England secured only 2 votes and lost out to Russia. There's been controversy over the bidding process ever since.
And I always remember Beckham saying to me afterwards, he said, I can cope with being lied to, but I can't cope with people lying to the Prime Minister and the future King. And I thought that actually says everything you need to know about what a great man David Beckham is.
When we didn't have a chance of getting the World Cup, we weren't really considered, having all the credentials. I think people were really angry then.
But did England ever really have a chance? Former FIFA employee Guido Tognoni thinks not.
England had no chance. I could say from the beginning on, England had no chance, And when you want to bid for a World Cup in FIFA, you should not take Prince William as a chairman of the bidding committee, because a Prince William and a royal can never afford to bribe anybody.
So naivety or doing it in the right way, I think I'd rather do it in the right way.
Lord David Treisman, the chairman of the England World Cup bid, told a parliamentary committee that 4 FIFA executives offered votes in exchange for cash, and even a knighthood.
He believed that a knighthood from the United Kingdom would be appropriate. And it was put to me that as a former Foreign Office minister, I must know how these things are organised and could probably achieve it if we had a mind to do so.
Blatter has now revealed an informal gentleman's agreement was worked out in secret before votes were cast, to ideally give the World Cups to Russia and America.
It was agreed inside the group that we go to Russia, because we have never been in Eastern Europe, and for 2022 we go back to America. And so we will have the World Cup with the 2 biggest political powers.
Now countries like England question the validity of World Cups going back decades.
I mean, my view of FIFA is it's a corrupted organisation and has been corrupted for some 40 years. Therefore, not a lot of it surprises us, I don't think.
England spent £21 million on their bid for the 2018 World Cup in vain. They want their money back. Some England fans want more. They think England should make a stand and break away from FIFA and actually pull out of the World Cup.
Oh yeah, we've got to take a stand to it, 100%. Can't let them run over us.
It's got to be done. It would be, but what would that do to the game? That would be the next question. But I suppose the 3 of us, boycott the World Cup. That's it.
But should the unthinkable really happen?
Changes have to be made. There's no doubt about that. So, yeah, definitely, I think that if that doesn't happen, what else can you do except look at trying to boycott? And that would be the very, very last resort. But I think, we've got to see that changes are being made. We can't just carry on like this.
So could there now be a real risk of a split in world football?